Hey guys, just me today, and welcome to Tropical Freeze. This is the sequel to Retro's Donkey Kong Country Returns, and in a lot of ways it's sort of like the Banjo-Tooie of the series. There's less levels, but the ones that are there are bigger, they have more set pieces, and in general there's a lot of little features that probably really should have been in the original, but for whatever reason they don't show up until now. But we'll talk about that when the time comes. For now, enjoy the intro. And just like that, the game pretty much throws us straight into the first level. If those motifs during the intro sounded familiar, they probably should, because for the first time since Donkey Kong Country 2, David Wise is back to do the soundtrack, and it is just absolutely phenomenal. Please give it a listen if you get a chance. Anyway, pretty much all of our moves are back from DKCR with the exception of blowing. We can roll, we can jump, we can pound the ground, and that's about all the tools we get. Of course, once we get our buddies, we'll be able to, add to that repertoire a little bit, but for the most part, that's going to be what gets you through the game. And the first new introduction is water. Unlike in Returns, where water was essentially just another pit, we do have full control underwater. We can swim in any direction we tilt the stick. We have that spinning attack, which allows us to hurt fish, if we were so inclined. But other than that, it's pretty much exactly like you'd expect. Anyway, coming up here is the first of the Kong letters. All four are hidden in every single stage, and they are the only thing that the game actually cares about for 100%. You might have noticed the puzzle pieces earlier. They are collectibles, but you do not have to get them. The game does not care about them, and fittingly, I do not either. That's not to say I won't get them if they're, directly on my path, like, hell, that one I just got right there. But in general, the game doesn't really care about them. They're not counted as part of 100%, so I'm not going to go out of my way to get them, because a lot of them are hidden in maybe not bullshit ways, but they're hidden really, really well. pig there is a checkpoint. When you die, you will get sent back to there, along with everything you've collected up until that point. So, if you have the K when you die, you'll have the K when you come back, but you'll lose the O that you got before you hit the next checkpoint. And puzzle pieces are just kept permanently as soon as you get them. As long as you finish the level, game doesn't care, it lets you keep them. So Diddy's back, and he works pretty much identical to how he did in Returns. His jetpack will let you do a slight hover, which allows you to extend your jump or give you a little extra hang time, but it does not preserve your momentum, so don't expect too much out of it. Its main use is to give you just a little bit of extra distance to cover your ass in case you miss that jump by just a little bit. Otherwise, he's by far the most vanilla of the three partners, which I guess is fair because, you know, he is the classic partner, if you will. So, one of the things I do like about this level, and this world in general, but this level specifically, is that it's a really good crash course on everything that you absolutely need to know about the game. Like, if you didn't play Returns, this level will teach you everything you need to know. Water, barrel cannons, ground pounds, the whole works, and if you did play it, then it's a quick little refresher before it starts throwing you into the real meat of the game. Anyway, at this point, that's pretty much it for the basics. The rest of World 1 will each have their own little things to introduce, but this is pretty much everything that you need to know in order to get going with the game. And it's really all about how the game presents these mechanics and how they interact with each other. There is a great example of that coming up here in just a second. So, we want the G, right? But the G is in the background, and we can't go to the background. But we do have this penguin here, and if we throw him at the target, it'll spin it around and we can grab the G. As in the previous DKC games, collecting all the Kong letters will get you a 1-up, so even if you don't care about, you know, getting 100%, that's still a thing for you. And then there's that. I always forget this mechanic exists because it's mostly pointless, but after you collect enough bananas, you can do a thing which will kill all the enemies on screen, and it will get you, like, hearts or 1-ups or whatever, depending on who your partner is. And that's the level! Stopping the barrel on a coin or a banana will, you know, get you exactly that, but hitting the DK will get you up to 15 of something randomly. Getting 15 lives is a really easy way to invalidate most of the difficulty in the game. And then there's this. This game is kinda infamous about having really bad loading times. Like, I mean, you can see it, like, hitching even here. And this is a downloaded copy, this isn't even disc. So, yeah. I'll be cutting out a lot of the loading in the future. But I wanted to leave this one in just to show you. One of the things I think this game really improved over Returns is just how much personality the game has. Like, Returns is a fine game, but it's very dry. Like, the worlds are named, like, Cave and Factory. Whereas Tropical Freeze does a lot more... It has a lot more fun with it. You have a lot more alliteration, a lot more puns. It reminds me a lot of the old Rare, which, in this case, that's a good thing. There's not much to really say about these vines. They're pretty straightforward. You hold the trigger and DK will grab them and just hold on. They turn pretty much anything into a climbable surface, which is great, but that's about all there really is to say about them. And that brings us to the second of the three partners, Dixie. So, Dixie gives you a double jump, and that is... well, let's not mince words. That's hilariously broken. She's not... like, you can use it to cover extra horizontal distance, just like Diddy. You can use it to get the extra height, just like you can with Cranky. There's really not much you can't do with Dixie. And this level is pretty much built to show off everything that you can do with her, so I'm just gonna sit back and let the level do the talking on this one. Alright, so every so often when you pound these pod things, you get this little banana challenge. And if you collect all of them before they disappear, you get a prize. Usually, it's not much to write home about, but every so often they'll sneak a puzzle piece in there. So, you can't outright ignore them, but usually you can. It's not worth going out of your way to do them. These big fish are a pain because they take 3 hits to kill instead of 1. Just keep them in mind. We'll be coming back to them a little bit later. Okay, and then one last raft ride to finish out the level. As with all of the other things that have the little bouncy pads on the bottom, you can pound them and it will shoot you up in the air, which is important if you want to grab the G here, but otherwise you can totally ignore this section by just swimming under everything. But where's the fun in that? Just don't forget to duck under the salt blade. Oh, and get used to this because I'm awful at timing the jump to hit the DK at the end of the level. Thankfully, it's never necessary, like in DKC2, but yeah, still not my finest moment. So, we could head straight to Canopy Chaos. But, as you can see, there's another path coming out of level 2. Maybe we should go have another look. We might have missed something. So here we are at the end of the level, and we could go back to the raft and take it to the end, but instead, if we dive down into this pool... What's this? Well, for starters, it's a jet stream, and that brings us to one of the new things. As the game helpfully points out, if we hold A with Dixie, she will twirl her ponytail and we will be able to swim through the jet stream. All 3 partners have a unique ability underwater, and Dixie's is the most important for accessing these secret exits, so we will be making extensive use of her later. So that brings us to our first bonus level, Zipline Shrine. There are 2 hidden levels in every world. They are generally harder, but not always, than the surrounding regular levels. And they usually provide some kind of a shortcut through the world, but not always. Like in World 1 case, they're just extra levels that are there if you want to do them. So, you gotta keep an eye out for the secret exits, but they're not mandatory by any stretch of the imagination. So, these tilting platforms are one thing, but the real gimmick of the level is coming up here in just a second. The aforementioned ziplines take the form of these vines, and once you grab them, you just start sliding down them. You can hop between them by letting go and grabbing again, but otherwise, it's a one-way trip, and it's actually really fun. I like this. This level's really fun, especially once they start introducing multiple tracks that you have to jump between. I never really understood the point of this barrel fixture. It's like, why? Why make me do it twice? It just wastes my time. But, whatever. This jump to the G, though, I always fuck this up, because it looks like what you're supposed to do is wait for the platform to be tilted away and shoot down to it. But no, if you do that, you will just fall straight into the abyss like the dumbass that you are. Which you have to actually land on it and go around, which I never really understood. That's just really misleading, I think. Alright, and that brings us back to Canopy Chaos. And that's going to be it for this video, so next time we will finish up World 1, so I will see you then.